This here is one of our high bay areas where we service the cabs or reconfigure them, as I described a little bit earlier. What we have is the ability with overhead cranes to pull the cabs apart. They have a large canopy. The canopy comes off and it allows access to the complete interior of the cab, so we can disassemble, remove, and reinstall whatever it is that's necessary for the research that we're going to be conducting in that cab. And when that's all done, we button the cab back up, we lift the entire cab, we put it on this red trailer here, and then you roll up this roll-up door. We go around the outside of the building where there's another roll-up door that allows us access to the simulator that I'll be showing you here shortly. So what I'd like to do is just give you the opportunity to poke your head in the cabs here, see what they're like. This is the cab here on the right that we use to simulate the space shuttle. The Space Shuttle program is the only program where we provided training. All of the other programs that we conduct here are research and development. But the astronauts would come here before every shuttle launch and they would conduct landing and rollout training. And what we provided them was a visual system and a motion sensation that they would experience at any of their landing sites that we have throughout the world. There was about 70 of them, and give them an opportunity in the event of an emergency, if they had to land at one of those sites, to have a good idea of what they were in store for. We also would inject turbulence. We would inject a whole lot of emergency type situations, so if they ever came across those, they would hopefully be able to better handle those. As you all know, we always try and keep that shuttle up until the weather conditions are just perfect, and so fortunately we've never had to land in those types of conditions. So it's powered up. You'll be able to take a look at it. I'll let maybe groups of 5 go through there at a time. That's about the size of the cab. In the meantime, you can take a look at this cab. This was a cab we had recently built up, and we were studying our next generation lunar lander. So if you were familiar with the Constellation program, we were bringing shuttle to an end, and we were going to move to a whole new launch system, and it was referred to as Constellation. We were going to have a new lander that would land on the moon. We had built up this cab to simulate that lander, and we were starting to look at a whole bunch of new handling quality procedures for that cab. Unfortunately, that was canceled, so I guess that's to your benefit. Now you can get in and take a look at it. But in this cab, you will notice that the occupants stand up, just like in the original lunar lander. They'll be looking out the windows. These windows here give you the field of view, or they're actually rear projected to give you the imagery that you would see here the astronauts flying that vehicle. And same with the shuttle cab here as well. What you see here is this imagery is generated with what we call an image generator, and it is essentially a large computer like you'd have in a high-end video game. It's a little bit higher end than that, though. And it allows you to replicate exactly what the pilots would see as they land, or the astronauts. Go ahead and hit OP right there on that center console. So now we're actually moving. What you're looking at is the approach, the final approach that the astronauts are making as they do their landing and rollout. Now if you want to move those sticks around, there you go, you can see us flying around. So what we have here is the interior of the shuttle with the instruments that the astronauts need to do their landing and rollout training. You don't have all of the gauges that you would normally have because we just don't need them, and to outfit the cab so it was like that, it would just be prohibitively expensive. These are the heads-up displays that the astronauts use. It tells them essentially the trajectory they should take, and then as it brings them down and they get closer to the runway, there's actually a series of lights, red and white lights, that they line up. It confirms that they're not too high or not too low. Then as they get over the end of the runway, they will rotate and touch down. So how are we doing here?
I'm trying to keep the...
Now you're doing good. Okay.
Trying to keep them...
We're coming in. I'll pull back a little bit. There you go. And then you'll come in, and now it'll just float right down.
You guys know that every shuttle pilot is sitting inside those seats.
Yep.
Where you're at.
You're still in the air. Hold on. Okay, now slightly push the nose down. Just a little bit. Push the stick forward, and there. Now you can steer with your feet if you want.
I can't reach.
Oh, you can't reach. Awesome. You just successfully landed the shuttle.
Oh, yay.
So that's it. Here, why don't we?
We're gonna get right off the end.
Well, let's go ahead and try and get it. Well, okay, now if you push forward on the brake,
Brakes on.
well, if you can, now you'd have to push forward up on your tippy toes.
Yeah.
Those are the brakes.
We're gonna crash. We'll just crash.
See, there you go. But this is what happens. We will simulate tire blowouts, and the astronauts will then control the shuttle. Sit here. We will be conducting experiments. They will be getting feedback from the pilots. We could go ahead and change some of the operating parameters of the aircraft, run the simulation again, and kind of have an iterative process with the between the researchers and the pilots.